Justin Tucker 10 games for violating the league's personal conduct policy. Tucker is free to sign with other teams. He can go to training camp, but he will be suspended for the first 10 weeks. He issued a statement through his representative, Rob Roach, in which he said basically he disagreed with the NFL's assessment of the situation. Everybody knows what Justin Tucker was allegedly involved in during the offseason. Contact with masseuses, asking certain favors, but in this particular case, he insists that he's done nothing wrong. He stands by his statement of innocence. The league went so far as to suspend him for the 10 weeks of the season, but Justin Tucker also said he's prepared to accept the league's punishment and move forward from this point on.
He does not have a team right now. It is a story that we'll continue to follow, Adam, as we thank you and we welcome you all into NFL Live. I'm Hannah Storm. Mina Kimes is with us. Marcus Spears is here. And we have a lot to get to as Tight End University, they're over, and the Sack Summit begins, bringing the NFL's top pass rushers to Vegas for 2 days, hosted by Von Miller, Max Crosby, and Cam Jordan. Here's Mad Max moments ago from day one.
At the end of the day, the quarterbacks are the ones that are the highest paid for a reason. Your quarterback's a super important part of the game, and we're the ones that are supposed to mess up the rhythm, your timing. Get after them, sack the quarterback, hit the quarterback, affect them in any way we can. So, there's a reason why. I feel like we're like the second in line when it comes to contracts. But honestly, man, it's just an honor.
Since he entered the NFL in 2019, no one has done a better job getting to the quarterback than Max Crosby, applying the first quarterback pressure 324 times over the last 6 seasons. That's 40 more times, believe it or not, than any other player. He's recorded 59.5 sacks in his career, already third most for the Raiders since sacks became an official stat in 1982. And Adam, we have seen these pass rushers go increasingly important, and you just heard Max talk about how highly compensated they are now. Why have we seen this shift in the league in terms of valuing the pass rushers?
Well, I don't know that there's been a shift. I think pass rushers always have been incredibly important and prioritized. It's just that we've seen more attention go to them in recent seasons, and we've seen the pass rushers get paid this offseason. We've seen Myles Garrett exceed the $40 million a year mark. We saw Danielle Hunter get over $35 million. Max Crosby at various points, each of those 3 players became the highest paid defensive player in NFL history, and all of them could be topped by Micah Parsons once he gets his deal done with the Dallas Cowboys. So it's not like there's been a change in the priority of the position, but teams are now paying pass rushers with their importance on the football field.
A change in, I guess, how teams are monetarily valuing these players. And Marcus, since the decade plus that you've been out of the NFL, how's the position evolved?
Yeah, I think the change has become because quarterbacks are now more effective in football when it comes to being holistically with their legs. And I think you got to find a special type of guy now. Usually, when I was in the league, the passers, the quarterbacks were going to be squarely in the center of the pocket, and you could affect those guys in that area. But now, with so many of these athletic quarterbacks, so many offenses now being more open and spreading out, the ball coming out quicker, you got to try to find those gems, the Myles Garretts, the Max Crosbys, the TJ Watts, the Trey Hendricksons of the world that can not only get to the quarterback, but also chase, have enough speed, have enough creativity to get these guys on the ground with the athleticism now that has formed at the quarterback position. I think that's been the significant evolution as far as what type of pass rusher. Bruce Smith is an all-time great. Reggie White, all-time great. These guys, Lawrence Taylor is probably was light years ahead of where we thought pass rushers would be. He is the now of the pass rushers. But the speed, the ability to chase down has become a premium now because quarterbacks now are more athletic and can hurt you with their legs.
You know what else I think, Marcus, coming off your point about kind of quarterbacks being able to skate pass rushers more, you can't have just one, right? Like the 2 best pass rushers in football last year, I believe, were Trey Hendrickson and Myles Garrett, both of whom led the NFL in pressures. but on their own teams, no defensive tackle ranked inside the top 20. And as a result, quarterbacks were able to escape them. Offenses were able to account for them. I think it's a big part of why the Browns took Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, who they believe gives them pass rush upside and fits well with that in that 4-2 front that they usually play. I really believe from a roster construction, and you and I have talked about this a lot with the interior defensive linemen, you cannot just have a single stud edge rusher. In fact, you might be better off with multiple really good rushers than just one dude, as much as those guys are deservedly paid the salaries that they are.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense as teams pressure quarterbacks on 31% of dropbacks last season. That's the most since that stat began to be recorded. Okay, so on the subject, a couple of guys you mentioned there, Swagoo, as we got to go to Adam Schefter. What's the latest on some of these pass rushers hoping for new contracts? So let's start with TJ Watt.
Well, Hannah, we've seen a number of big pass rush deals go out this offseason, and we're going to see more. TJ Watt also is likely to get a new deal at some point. If we go back to the last time him and Pittsburgh went through this, the deal got done shortly before the regular season started. Both sides have expressed optimism that they could get something done and figure out a way to keep TJ Watt in Pittsburgh happy with the type of contract on par that's been given out throughout the course of the offseason. We mentioned Micah Parsons before. He is expected to become at some point the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. His numbers have stacked up to and even surpassed Myles Garrett. He's 4 years younger. He's going to get a huge contract. He and the Cowboys have been in contact throughout the offseason about a new deal. He showed up at the mandatory minicamp in the spirit of keeping alive positive talks and communication, and that deal at some point will get done. Not as warm and cozy with the Cincinnati Bengals and Trey Hendrickson, who continues to look for a deal that's been elusive over the course of the last two off seasons. I think at this point, Trey Hendrickson's particularly frustrated, and when training camp rolls around the corner next month, Trey Hendrickson's going to have a decision to make about whether or not he's willing to sit out training camp the way he was willing to sit out mandatory minicamp. By missing mandatory minicamp, he incurred $107,000 worth of fines. By missing training camp, he would risk losing out on $50,000 a day in fines. But for the type of contract these pass rushers are getting, he might decide that that's worth the price.
Swagoo, it is worth noting that both Hendrickson and Parsons are at the SAC Summit, so they're definitely working out in some way, shape, or form. But which of the situations that Shefty just outlined concerns you the most?
Yeah, Hannah, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. That's all they doing at the SAC Summit right now, regardless of what happened with these contracts. But I think Trey Hendrickson is the most concerning just because he was the pass rush for the Cincinnati Bengals. If we were talking about them having maybe one or two other guys that were proven getting after the quarterback, maybe it wouldn't be as urgent as I feel it is for the Cincinnati Bengals, especially with what you have on the offensive side. Look, there's a premium now on making sure that you at least can get your offense on the field with guys like Trey Hendrickson. When you have a Joe Burrow, you re-sign both of your wide receivers. But more importantly, the rookie that they drafted to help the pass rush is not in camp at either. The Cincinnati Bengals are in hell right now when it comes to trying to figure out what they're going to do up front as far as getting after the passer. You draft a guy that's not under contract because there's language in his deal. And then Trey Hendrickson, obviously, this has felt like a long-lasting nightmare for the Cincinnati Bengals.
It's absolutely Hendrickson for the reasons Marcus laid out, the rest of the roster, the situation that the Bengals are in where they should be contenders. But if they don't have Hendrickson, it's really hard for me to imagine this defense even approaching average, maybe below. I mean, they would honestly probably be the worst defense in the NFL, I'm going to say it. Whereas, with Dallas, you have good players across the defense. Osa Odighizuwa, we talked earlier about the importance of defensive tackles, is a good pass rusher as well. Obviously, the Steelers' front is stacked. The Bengals is whatever the opposite of stacked is. Hendrickson has a ton of leverage in my mind because without him, Marcus, I mean, good God, that defense is going to struggle. So, and they must know that.
Mina, MK, to your point,
and
too,
what's
like,
it? Yeah.
we can. Oh, go ahead, Shefty, my bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Biggs, go ahead. Continue on. Continue on.
Somebody go. Swagoo, you
Well,
go. Okay.
What I was going to say is that not only is it about the Cincinnati Bengals defensive line, you think about these two quarterbacks in their division. When you start talking about the guys that they have to play against like twice a season. So you could be out of the playoffs from your division alone without being able to take advantage of getting after the passer.
And the thing with this team, to me, is that it's done so much good during the offseason. It figures out a way to get Jamar Chase re-signed to a long-term deal, figures out a way to get T. Higgins re-signed. Many people wondered whether they'd be able to keep both receivers. They do that. Today, they essentially reach agreement with Hamilton County to extend their lease at Paycor Stadium through the year 2036 with another 10-year option that potentially could keep the Bengals there through the year 2046. So they're getting a new lease. They've got both their wide receivers, and yet they can't sign the man who's led the NFL in sacks the last 2 years, and they can't figure out the language on their first-round draft pick, Shamar Stewart, who refuses to sign the clauses that they want to include. Like, there's so much good, and then in an area where this team needs help so badly, they can't figure it out. It's June 26th. It's alarming now. It'll be more alarming on July 26th if it's still not done, and it'll be even more alarming on August 26th if it's still not done. But this is where the Bengals are today.
And I mean, as great as Hendrickson was last season, creating twice as many sacks as any other player, that defense was their Achilles heel. And it's just unbelievable. It's almost unfathomable that this is happening.
And Hannah, you also have opportunity. Like Pittsburgh unsettled that quarterback. Obviously, Aaron is there. And also Cleveland, whatever that is. You got a chance to win this division.
Exactly.
Beat one team.
Whatever that is. That's a whole nother subject, Cleveland, whatever that is. And what is it, the opposite of stacked? I mean, we're just filled with things today. All right, we're just getting started on NFL Live with the addition of Jair Alexander. Just how good can the Ravens team be? But we're talking.
Ui cha ơi mọi người ơi, chậu hoa của mình hoàn thành.
Bạn quên.
Vội. Chào tất cả mọi người, bây giờ mình sẽ hướng dẫn các bạn làm chậu cây nha. Hả?
Nó tập cái farm room ở trong farm room ở nhà ấy, làm xong để cho nó eo thông lại, nhưng mà mẹ nhấc hết độ để hít vào hít lên thế độ nào.
Và cái đặc biệt nhất là khi mày tập cái đấy mày phải tự biết siết cơ bộ.